James was a bright, curious 10-year-old with a heart full of dreams and a love for airplanes. He lived with his mother, Maria, in a modest neighborhood where every penny mattered. Maria worked tirelessly as a nurse, picking up extra shifts to make ends meet. This trip was supposed to be special, a rare opportunity for James to fly for the first time. Maria had saved for months to afford the plane tickets for their journey to Chicago, where James's older brother, David, was graduating from college. The airport buzzed with energy. James clutched his small backpack tightly, his eyes wide with excitement as he looked around. Every sound, every sight fascinated him. The announcements echoing through the terminals, the enormous planes parked outside, and the passengers scurrying about. Maria smiled at her son's enthusiasm. "It's amazing, isn't it?" she said, gently brushing her hand over his hair. James nodded eagerly. "Mom, do you think they'll let me look inside the cockpit?" Maria chuckled. "Maybe if you ask nicely." When they reached their gate, the airline staff called for boarding. Maria held James's hand as they approached the line, handing over their tickets to a young woman in a crisp uniform. The flight attendant, whose name tag read Melissa, gave them a brief smile before motioning them to proceed. Inside the plane, James marveled at everything: the rows of seats, the overhead compartments, and the small windows offering a glimpse of the wing. He and Maria found their seats near the back of the plane. James eagerly leaned toward the window, watching the ground crew prepare for takeoff. As passengers settled in, Melissa walked through the aisle, checking seat belts and assisting passengers. James couldn't contain his excitement and asked Maria countless questions about the flight. "Do you think we'll fly over clouds? How fast do planes go? Will there be snacks?" Maria answered patiently, though she was a bit tired from her shift the night before. Nearby passengers smiled at James's curiosity. But Melissa, the flight attendant, didn't seem as amused. She passed by their row with a sharp glance, her smile replaced by a tight-lipped expression. James noticed but didn't think much of it. The plane began to taxi and the safety announcements played. James listened attentively, his seatbelt securely fastened. As the plane lifted off the ground, he pressed his face against the window, gasping at the sight of the world shrinking below. A little later, James reached for his backpack under the seat. It was filled with coloring books and snacks Maria had packed to keep him entertained. As he rummaged through it, the bag slipped slightly into the aisle. Melissa returned to the back of the plane, her expression stern. "That needs to stay under the seat," she said sharply, her tone louder than necessary. Maria quickly apologized, pulling the bag closer. "I'm sorry, it won't happen again." James shrank back in his seat, feeling embarrassed. Maria gave him a reassuring pat on the hand. A few minutes later, James accidentally kicked the edge of the seat in front of him while trying to get comfortable. The passenger ahead turned slightly, but didn't seem upset. Melissa, however, appeared almost instantly. "Is there a problem here?" she asked, her eyes narrowing at James. Maria shook her head. No problem at all. He's just a child." Melissa frowned. "Well, we need all passengers to be considerate. This is a shared space." Maria's face flushed. "Of course, I understand." James mumbled an apology, feeling tears prick at the corners of his eyes. As the flight continued, Melissa's attitude became increasingly cold. She walked past their row without acknowledging them, even when Maria tried to ask for water. Instead, she seemed focused on finding fault, her gaze lingering on James, as if waiting for him to misstep again. It was during the mid-flight snack service that things took a turn. James, still trying to enjoy the experience, accidentally dropped a small juice carton he'd been handed. It rolled into the aisle, and Melissa stopped abruptly. "That's enough," she said, her voice cutting through the hum of the cabin. Maria looked up, startled. "What do you mean?" "I've warned you multiple times," Melissa snapped. "This behavior is disruptive to the other passengers." Maria's jaw tightened. "He's a child. He's doing his best to behave." Melissa shook her head. "I'm sorry, but this is unacceptable. I'll have to ask you both to leave the plane." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. Passengers turned in their seats, shocked. Maria stood up, her voice trembling. "You can't be serious. We've done nothing wrong." "I've made my decision," Melissa said firmly. "Please gather your belongings." Tears streamed down James's face as he clung to his mother. Maria's hands shook as she reached for their bags, her mind racing. Why was this happening? What had they done to deserve this humiliation? A man sitting nearby spoke up. "This is outrageous. The boy hasn't done anything wrong." Others chimed in, nodding in agreement. "She's targeting them," a woman said, her tone accusing. "This isn't right." Melissa stiffened but stood her ground. "The safety and comfort of all passengers is my responsibility." As the confrontation escalated, the pilot emerged from the cockpit, his expression serious. He listened to both sides, the murmurs of discontent from the passengers growing louder. After a tense discussion, he made the call. Maria and James would be allowed to stay. Melissa's face tightened in frustration, but she backed down. Maria sank into her seat, holding James close. The remaining flight was quiet, but the warmth of the trip was gone. When they landed, Maria filed a complaint with the airline. The story quickly went viral after another passenger shared it on social media, sparking outrage. The airline issued an apology, and Melissa was suspended pending investigation. But for Maria and James, the damage was done. What should have been a joyous adventure had turned into a painful memory. In the days that followed, support poured in for James and Maria, with strangers sharing similar stories and calling for accountability. Though their experience couldn't be undone, Maria vowed to ensure her son never stopped dreaming, because no one, especially a child, should ever feel they don't belong.
And that's the story, guys. I hope you enjoyed this journey as much as I did in creating it. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon so you never miss a new adventure. And if you really loved it, share this story with your friends and family. Let's spread the word together. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep dreaming, keep believing, and keep exploring. Hope to see you soon. Bye.